afternoon I'd like to announce our second round of election materials and services procurement that will appear in tomorrow's newspapers in line with our 2018 general election preparation plan. Ladies and gentlemen, tenders for this round are revised for the following materials and services. Number one, postal voting courier services, ballot paper printing, supply of polling station sheds. We are also inviting expressions of interest from suppliers for supply of motor vehicles for the next general election. The FEO understands that some of these materials as well as services will require our suppliers to place orders on their own to their suppliers overseas, as some of these items may not be kept in stock to meet our requirements. The specifications and quantities will be discussed with suppliers once they put in their bid. Some of the materials may also take significant time to arrive in Fiji in the event they are procured from some overseas countries, and some services may also need thorough planning together with FEO so that both the FEO and our supplier can combine to deliver the services required for this purpose. Hence, the need to advertise and confirm our suppliers for services early. We also need to ensure that we have confirmation from our suppliers in terms of their ability to deliver at notice following the announcement of election date. Advertising early will allow the FEO to also verify the capacities of the supplier, and where necessary, we may have to relook at our current plans as well as contingencies. Whilst I must say that this is the first time it's happening like this in Fiji, so the interest is high. In countries where the election date is not known in advance, this is standard protocol. Let me please elaborate on the specifications of some of the tenders that we will be advertising. Looking at the printing of ballot papers, the specifications for the ballot paper will be decided once we know the exact number of candidates. However, there is some rough estimate as to what the size will be. We also have our own requirements as to the quality of the ballot paper actually. With the successful tenderer, we will also have to demonstrate the ability to print, bind and supply the ballot papers as per our plan. As you would know, there is very little time for the FEO to prepare the design as well as to have the ballot papers printed and delivered to us. So we must have a supplier who is capable of meeting those deadlines. At the moment, as you are aware, we have 620,000 registered voters, and approximately may go up to 630,000 registered voters as we go into elections next year. Therefore, ballot papers for the next general elections will have to be printed in sufficient quantity together with the contingency amount. We may be looking at printing approximately 750,000 ballot papers, but not exceeding 800,000. This will be dependent, as I said, on the final number of voters for the next general election. Ballot papers for the next general election should have at least 3 security features. They will have to be bound in books of 50 ballot papers per book, and each book is to be uniquely numbered to allow us to track the books. The information in relation to the tender is available on the Fijian Elections Office website. Looking at postal voting courier services, ladies and gentlemen, for the 2018 general election, based on our reviews of the 2014 general election, we have divided the entire globe into 4 regions. This is in an attempt to streamline the distribution and return of postal ballots. It is noted that there may be companies in Fiji that may specialize in some regions, while they may not be able to cater for the whole world distribution. So, in our attempts, we are now able to distribute the regions as follows. There is a particular local Fiji is a region that is to do with distribution in local postal ballot applications. Then we have Pacific Islands as another region. As you are aware, we have nearly finished all of the Pacific Island countries for registration of voters. There are a few left, and we should be able to have all of them completed by the end of this year. Then we have Australia and New Zealand. A bulk of our overseas registrations are from Australia and New Zealand. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to have a specific supplier for this region so that we are not delaying Australia and New Zealand, which has got a bulk of our voters. And then we have the rest of the world. The entire list of countries from where we have registered voters is available on the specification sheet. It is more than 20 other countries. Actually, I'm now looking at it, it's about 36 countries. We have voters in Syria, Thailand, United Arab Emirates, Sudan, Oman, Laos, Mexico, France, Ethiopia, Cyprus, Canada, Albania, Angola, Austria, Belgium, a lot of countries in the world, and we need to get ballots across to these voters. We may have only about 20 days to get it there and get it back. So we have distributed the entire globe into 4 regions. Once we have successful bidders for these ballot paper for postal courier, we will have several meetings with these couriers so that we are able to identify the most suitable way, the most convenient way to get ballot papers across and back, and also look at time that would take to go and for it to come back. As you are aware, the close of time for postal ballots is 6 p.m. on election day. Now shall we move on to the supply of polling station sheds. Polling station sheds is a new tender. We did not tender for this in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, supply of polling station sheds, we estimate that approximately 160 stations, polling stations will be in sheds for the next election. This may be due to the fact that there are existing polling venues that may not have sufficient number of polling stations. We may also have polling places that don't have any facilities at all. So we have to place a shed in that area. And there may also be situations where due to pre-poll, we may have to set up a polling station outside a school or in a location where there may be access in terms of equal distance between 2 villages or communities. This is important. We also do not want to place polling stations in residence of individuals, so a better option would be to put it in a shed. One of the things with the sheds is that this time around, we would like suppliers to place bids for sheds which are 7 meters by 7 meters in dimension, and together with that we want them to supply us with all the equipment that's required in terms of tables, 10 chairs, 3 tables, a portaloo, 2 by 4 feet tube lights as a minimum. They can put in more additional lighting as well, and 2 power outlets as a minimum. We prefer that suppliers place a bid for all these items as a package so that the FPO does not have to procure from 10 different suppliers all these materials. It would also be easier in terms of management once we have locations identified. The supplier may be able to set up a shed at a location and then pull it down in terms of pre-poll, pull it down and take it to the next location as our team travels across. So in terms of logistics of this exercise, a package is an ideal for the Fijian Elections Office. There are 160 that are required, but they are not all required in Suba. Our specifications will contain the regions as well in terms of the numbers that are required in each region. We also invite the suppliers or persons who are interested to contact our procurement team so that they are able to be guided in terms of the numbers by location. The third item, ladies and gentlemen, fourth item actually, which is in terms of expression of interest for supply of vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the more looked forward to advertisements from the FPO. We continue to receive hundreds of queries in this regard as to when the vehicles supply procurement is going to be done by the Fijian Elections Office. So ladies and gentlemen, for the next general election, we are looking at about 115 4x4s, double cab utility vehicles. These must be suitable for use on Fiji roads. Therefore, they need to be an LTA approved vehicle with current fitness. The vehicle needs to have a road safety kit, that is a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, torch, road triangles or cones in case they have to stop on the road for breakdown, etc. If the vehicle may be fitted with a reversing alarm, which must be audible. Ladies and gentlemen, the vehicle has to be well maintained so that it does not hinder the traveling time of our teams. Vehicle has to be secured and have an effective alarm system in the event materials are in the vehicle, and the alarm system should be there. The vehicle has to have the capacity to carry at least 4 passengers apart from the driver. Vehicle to be cleaned daily so that when it's reporting to base we have a clean vehicle. Must have a proper aircon system. Ladies and gentlemen, for the explanation on this, it has to have an aircon that runs from the vehicle, not the windows down aircon. It is necessary that the vehicle has this because our teams will be traveling maybe in dusty roads, and it is necessary to keep them in good personal hygiene. A vehicle with a pleasant smell as well, and as we said, proper first aid kit and backup tires. The vehicle with luggage carrying trays should have the trays covered and secured from weather, rain, sun, wind, as well as theft. For 4x4 vehicles, the expressions of interest will be based on our pricing. The maximum pricing that we are offering, including driver and fuel for a day of usage, is $350 per day per vehicle. We also require that drivers do not operate vehicles for more than 8 hours. If there is a need to use the vehicles longer than 8 hours, a backup driver has to be provided. All vehicles must have the mandatory third-party policy as well as passenger risk insurance and commercial comprehensive cover limited to the market value of the vehicle as per your insurance provider. This is very, very important. If these conditions are not met, we will not be taking those vehicles. We also will require the drivers to have defensive driving certificates. This does not have to be provided when we put in the bid, but when the vehicles are actually hired, you must provide it with that document. As we know, many people may want to go and get their defensive drivers now, and there is not enough time to get the defensive drivers as well as put in the bid. Drivers must also be adequately and properly dressed in proper attire. We propose bula shirts for drivers. The driver must maintain professional attitude whilst carrying FEO officials. In 2014, we had some situations where our staff requested the vehicle to stop, but the drivers refused to do so. In the event we find this in the next election, we will not continue engagement with that vehicle. The driver must maintain a working cell phone so that they can be contacted by our staff, and so that our HQ can also contact them in the event we are unable to contact our staff. They must maintain highest levels of confidentiality of information or matters that they may get access to by virtue of being around our staff at the time, and they must follow all LTA road rules and regulations. We will, as a special mention, the vehicles have to be approved by LTA. So any person who wishes to put in the application must ensure that when we want to use the vehicle, your vehicle has a current fitness. Ladies and gentlemen, we also need 100 3-ton trucks for election day as well. The 3-ton trucks, we are looking at a maximum payment on a daily basis of $500 a day, including driver and fuel. And we need about 15 5-ton trucks during election week. We will be looking at $700 per day per 5-ton truck, including driver and fuel. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the specifications for the vehicles that we need. There are some vehicles, especially in terms of talking about 4x4s, who may be needed for up to 3 months. And then there are some vehicles that we will need for 7 days, and some that may be needed only for election day. Therefore, we would require any person interested to please put in an EOI with all necessary specifications so that we are able to include you in a database, and we will invite the vehicles to be used as per the need. and it doesn't mean that every person who puts in an EOI will be hired, but there is a highly likely chance that if you are in the database for procurement team, your vehicle may be called upon so that we can use it in terms of cartage of staff or materials. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to touch on a few other issues in relation to FEO tenders. We wish to advise that in accordance with Section 13 of the Electoral Act, all suppliers and contractors of the Fijian Elections Office must remain apolitical and must not engage in any political or campaign activity whilst engaged by us. All tenders by the FEO will be scrutinized by a duly constituted tender committee who may require additional information or even inspection of the capacities of suppliers. Bidders are requested to ensure that once the committee has made a request, they provide necessary access to all required information quickly to allow the tender committee to complete its task. Interested persons must only contact the Secretariat, and we reserve the right to reject any tenders from bidders who may attempt to contact other FEO personnel for this purpose. Please don't contact me. If there are tenders for vehicles that you're putting in, the best way to contact us would be through the procurement team as per the listing on the expressions of interest. The FEO also duly considers value for money, quality and capacity when it awards tenders. It is not necessary that we have to hire a vehicle in Lotoka in the event Lotoka vehicles are not available. We may be able to use an ND vehicle. So we reserve the right to do that. We will also not confirm that only the lowest tender will be awarded the contract. As we say, we give value to money as well as for quality and capacity. Tenders will all close on the 8th of December 2017 at 4 p.m. Thank you very much. Any questions?